Atsuko Kashiwaguchi, Political Officer, Embassy of Japan. Welcome to the JSO interview.
Thank you, John.
Those of us who follow the news with any regularity will know that our Deputy President, William Ruto, is currently in Japan, in Yokohama, attending a conference dubbed TICAD 5. Now, perhaps you're best placed to explain just exactly what is TICAD 5.
Okay. TICAD 5 is an abbreviation for the 5th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, and it is a summit-level meeting hosted by the government of Japan, and it will be held from June 1st until 3rd. And the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is leading the Kenyan delegation in Yokohama, in a metropolitan area near Tokyo.
Right, okay. I would like, okay, so there's a conference. I do believe that this conference has been held every 5 years.
Yes.
And this is the 5th version, so it must go back to something like
1993.
1993.
Mm-hmm.
Just exactly who is likely to be participating apart from Kenya? In other words, how big a conference is this? And how significant in Japanese-Kenya relations?
Yes, okay, sure. The government of Japan invited all African countries, and actually 51 African countries are participating to this conference, TICAD 5. And among 51, around 40 are the head of state and government coming from Africa. And in addition to African countries, we have also invited international partners. For example, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and also the World Bank's president, and also UNDP Helen Clark. And also other Asian countries are participating and other UN agencies as well.
So in other words, a big conference on a big scale.
Yes, it is.
Just exactly what are you trying to achieve? What do you try to achieve every 5 years?
TICAD has two objectives, mainly two objectives. One is to promote dialogue, a very high-level dialogue on African development. And second objective is to mobilize support towards Africa by in a collaboration, international cooperation involving all the parties involved.
Whenever Africans hear this idea of help, or there's always this idea that there's imposition. Are you telling the delegates what they should want? Or do they have a voice in saying what they would like to happen?
Sure, good question. Actually, TICAD is based on the philosophy, dual philosophy, partnership and ownership. Ownership meaning we, Japanese government and also other international partners, would like to promote African initiatives that they have the ownership. And the second one is the international partnership, which means we would like to be a good partner, a good friend of African countries in order to promote together the African economic growth.
Right. Well, from the information that I have, I see certain pillars that define this dialogue, this 5-yearly dialogue.
Yes.
And I want you to explain how to perceive, for example, a robust and sustainable economy.
Okay, sure. Actually, this TICAD 5 meeting has three main themes. One is, as you said, robust and sustainable economy, which means, for example, growth, depending on only natural resources, may not be sustainable in the longer term. We will need to focus on human resource development, for example, in order to enhance robust and sustainable long-term growth. And so we would focus on human resource development as well as natural resources, as well as infrastructure development, which is a key to the long-term sustainable economic growth.
To which I would respond, sorry if I may, human resources all well and good, but the idea is that for the longest time, Africa always exports raw materials and the finished product is arrived at elsewhere. So if I'm a layman and saying, why doesn't Japan make it possible for Toyotas to be assembled right here in Kenya? In other words, build factories, the human resources, but also build, what shall we call them? Is the buzzword infrastructure, or what is the word that we're looking for?
Assembly factories?
Yes,
or?
yes. Do you have any input in that?
Well, of course. For example, Honda, the motorbike companies are going to assemble their motorbikes here in Nairobi. Actually, they are going to start. And for other Toyota vehicles that are kind of running on the streets in Kenya, we have several assembly plants in African continent.
Right, but not in Kenya. We're selfish. Not in Kenya specifically. Not yet.
Not yet.
Right.
But in order for us to have a win-win, mutually beneficial relationship, we need to have, in order for Japanese companies to be incentivized, attracted to put foreign direct investment in a specific country, we need to have a good economic infrastructure or environment or human resources that would meet the specific threshold.
Right, so you're saying to us in a way, we have to have a welcoming environment. You're saying to Kenya, if the security situation is good, if the people are there to do the work, then you will come, but you won't just come out of benevolence and say, we'll build a factory for you.
Sure.
Understood. Okay, an inclusive and resilient society. Are we speaking to that last sentence in my response to you? What is an inclusive and resilient society?
Yes, we need to focus on equality, not only the growth rate, the speed of the growth, but we also need to focus on equality. And in order for us to promote long-term sustainable economic growth or stability, social stability, we need to include all people, everyone, each and every individual.
So you're saying in a word, let me go back to people who don't know. You're saying that Japan will only give aid with certain respect of, for example, human rights, because otherwise there are countries where aid is given without. Define equality. Equality of whom? What are you talking about as equality?
Equality, in meaning, I mean by saying equality that no marginalized people should be kept as it is.
Right.
We need to involve all the parties, all the minorities, all the people, including women and children, who tend to be vulnerable in many situations, to get their opportunity to stand on their own feet, so that they would get involved in their society in order to achieve economic or social or political development together.
Understood. In a forum such as this, would you go so far as to comment on Japan's perception of Kenya meeting these indices? Is Kenya one of the countries in Africa where this equality is being respected? Or are we number 100th or number 50? Where do we stand?
It's an interesting question, but Kenya, as a Japanese government, we see Kenya as a leading country in East Africa. And of course, there are some tribal issues that erupted back in the last general election. However, when we saw the recent general election, it was conducted peacefully. The turnout rate was 86%, which is amazing. And people voted very calmly, patiently, and they are starting to have a national dialogue on reconciliation. And so I think the government is moving to a very positive way, in a positive direction. And we are looking forward to seeing more reconciliation and more mutual dialogues across different tribes.
I also see here, therefore, maybe these are cross-cutting, but under its own rubric we have peace and stability.
Yes.
Have you exhausted your comments in that regard in your last answer, or would you like to say more?
Just to add a little, peace and stability are prerequisites for growth or people's social life. And if people are not sure about their own safety or their security, people will not intend to invest in anything, for example, education, or in business. So they are the prerequisites, I believe, for economic growth. And in order for Kenya to grow even more, furthermore, in the future, I think those two things should be kept at the top priority.